on to Berlin, Germany, as we prepare to wrap up the first week of the 2024 Spring Split. It's Fnatic, it's G2 and Vitality who all find themselves in prime position to sweep the weekend. But for Giant X, Rogue and Team BDS, a shaky start sees them hoping to pick up their very first win. My name is Shox and I am joined here at the desk while we're standing for now. But you know the drill, Goldberg and Lore to kick off this very last day. How has the weekend been for you two?
Amazing.
Yeah?
Glad to have the players back. Really exciting. A lot of change as well. So yeah, excited about today.
Yeah.
I think there's been a lot of uncertainties that have happened. I mean, you were just noting down who's really making a run here for the 3-0 and who's talking about the 0-3. Some of them I did expect, some of them I didn't.
So what about the positives then? Let's start with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people was expecting to see Fnatic and G2 at the top, especially Fnatic with their easy schedule in the beginning. But I think Vitality coming in with a 2-0 already, maybe going for 3-0 today, did not expect that one coming.
And on that note, we appreciated the fact that G2 was coming back with the same roster at the beginning of the year. Fnatic is clicking, they stick to the same player, and Vitality as well. So honestly, I appreciate coherence in building projects and the fact that the top 3 teams we have right now are sticking with the same player and building for longevity.
That's a great point, and hopefully other teams are watching and saying, okay, yes, Vitality, great players, didn't go where they wanted to exactly in those playoffs in winter, but a great foundation. I love that. On the other side of the coin, though, what are we looking at for teams that have disappointed us, sadly, the most so far?
Yeah, I don't know. I think for Rogue specifically, let's start off with them there. I think I'm really looking at a team that needs to come together, not just from the individuals that at times seem slow, but all of them coming together as a team. Because I've still seen good individual stuff from them. I haven't seen any good team play from them just yet.
We have Heretics, we'll see what's happening with them, but I want to look at GX because when I look at this team right now, being completely honest, the 2 first games we saw from them, I felt like I was watching solo queue. I don't see a connection between the players, and it feels like they're starting lower than what they had in winter. So are things catching up on them, or did they actually get it worse? I think today is going to be a good test for them to see this, but it doesn't look good for them.
No, that is a great question indeed. Now, we did also ask this question to some of the players before the split started. Who's going to go through 3-0? Who's going to go 0-3? Let's see what they said. Soon.
I can't see my own team. Man, I was gonna say Rogue.
I'm gonna be spicy and say no one.
Easy choice is G2, right?
I feel like on a new patch, usually they know what's good before other teams. I would say G2, yeah.
Well, the thing is, G2 took a huge break, and I just feel like none of the other teams are like, you know, super dominant or super good.
If it's not us, I would probably say maybe Fnatic. They had like a disappointing end to the split, so they might wanna like, you know, come in angry in the start. They're also not playing us, which helps.
I would say Fnatic, because I think they have kinda easy schedule and I think they are a pretty strong team.
I'm gonna say it will be Fnatic. No, that doesn't work because we play Fnatic. It's not gonna be Fnatic, it's gonna be Rogue, and it's gonna be G2.
BDS might go 3-0. They are pretty good in the regular split.
Well, you are playing them BDS, so...
That's fine.
If you want to change your answers...
I don't, it's fine.
0-3. Yeah, probably Rogue maybe?
Rogue.
I would say Rogue.
Next last team was Rogue. Heretics also has a new player that they just subbed in now. So I would say Heretics maybe, or Rogue.
It's for sure Team Heretics, because I think they just made a change, and I didn't think they were even good before.
Heretics, because they play us, and they might have a shaky start. That's just my intuition.
Actually, I think Rogue might go 0-3. They're the second hoodie team. I think they're the worst hoodie team.
Rogue. I love Rogue going 0-3, so they're my favorites for that one.
Oh, the Wamne, the monkey paw curls, because yes, they might go 0-3, but you might as well on Giant X.
That's the thing, right? You can take the Oramno out of Rogue, but apparently you can't take the Rogue out of Oramne, so here we find him.
Oh!
I love when players don't know their own schedule. So, bet against themselves.
Wait, we're playing them.
Yeah, we play them.
But it's 3 games in a week, you know, I get it. They have a lot to prepare for. But our very first game will be Rogue versus BDS, 2 teams that might very well go 0-3. I'm kidding, only one of them can. So let's start with BDS. BDS, after the first day, I heard from Goldberg Lore that they looked like they were trying things, they were trying to innovate, but maybe it wasn't really coming together.
It wasn't, and what made them strong, I feel, in winter, their science of team fights, how they were setting up the plays, and how they stayed proactive on the map in the early game to grab an agency in the game. This is what I'm not seeing from them here, GB.
Yeah, I think it's hard for them right now because they're clearly trying to innovate with new champions as well. Specifically, the first draft they came through with, that was Nuke's 4th Taliyah ever. Obviously, Taliyah is super strong on this patch, but the thing that benefit BDS in winter was it was already their meta, and they just had to continue from where they stopped in 2023. But coming into this, now they have to work on new champion pool, and they have to work on the gameplay aspect. And even when Adam brought out an Olaf, he still got stomp-stood by Photon in that. So hopefully they can start coming back.
Switzerland.
Yay! I mean, they're a Swiss team.
It's a Swiss org.
Yeah.
Also on the Rift, it looks like Switzerland now. They don't kill anyone. They don't get any towers. They're just, you know, it's taking it a little bit too literally, perhaps, that they're a Swiss org. Who knows? But we love their videos, though, and we always will. But for the other side, we have Rogue. And Rogue, oh my God, I'm just feeling so uninspired, no pun intended at all, watching them. I don't know what it is.
No, absolutely. I think there has been positives with Rogues. I have a clip I'd love to go through with this as well, because Finn has brought good things to this team. I think his Udyr was really good in the beginning, and I thought his Renekton as well was kind of solid. In this scenario, he's got Wunder frozen on with his jungler being able to come in for a gank, but this is a bigger play where they're going to be able to contest for the Grops in just a little bit. So as we roll out the clip, you can see Finn denying CS, Wunder having to step up just to, well, try and get some of the XP, and when this happens, well, that way Finn starts pushing forward and trades a little bit with him to make sure that he gets priority in the lane. Now, why does he want this priority in the lane? Well, it's quite simple, because if you take a look at the minimap once again, you can actually see that Zoelis is starting to come through. They want to contest this crop spawn. Now they have top lane first move. It's super easy for them to go in here. So it's looking super good in terms of this early game planning they're committing to. You can see it now. Finn first move, Wunder stuck on the tower, can't really do anything. Trimby gets pushed out because Makoon's there first as well. Yanker's still clearing his crocs. And now Rogue thinks, oh, we have this. But actually, as Zoelis walks back, Trimby is still around, and suddenly they will lose out on one croc or one grop. There we go. But the thing is, even with this happening and them losing out that one grop, Zoelis comes in, they find the first blood, and they still get a lead. So they get most of the grops for themselves. They get first blood on Larsen too. And then moving forward, it's just, this is looking good. It actually looks like they can get the ball rolling. I'm not really sure why it's in slow-mo right now. But going into the second clip here, you can see that, okay, they get another objective. Now we can rinse and repeat the strategy we just saw. Now Zoelis and the rest of Rogue needs to move straight up towards the Grops, because Finn is in a situation where he can get a slew push and they can move it in. But they start honking around mid too long. You can see Zoelis gonna hook the towers, then he's gonna stick around mid and still walk back in. It's like they're trying to threaten a mid play, but at the same time, there's an all-in on top side, and this is also a misplay by Finn. You could have said, oh, they could have been up here to backing up and then could have killed Wunder easily and then gone for the play, but that doesn't happen. I'm gonna try and see if I can speed this up instead, because it's too slow. Instead, what happens is...
Just like Rogue.
Yeah, actually true. But Finn dies. They don't get the first prior on Grob, as we just saw in the first clip. The mid play happens, but they lose out on the 3v3 again, and now they lose all the Grobs, they lose all their tempo. The top laner who's ahead, no longer ahead. The mid laner that's ahead, no longer ahead. And suddenly they just don't connect. And it's such a shame, because they have clear planning, but no one is stepping up to make the right call. And they need to turn this ship around now, because when today's done, that's 1/3 of their split gone. And if they don't do it, well, that ship will just sink, and they're straight up out almost.
And it's been going downhill for a while. You know, we had Malmö, we had that finally crowning achievement. That was in 2022, right? So now looking at Rogue and some of the pieces they have left. But Laura, is it as easy to say, well, you still have that championship-winning Larsen, you still have that championship-winning Comp, or is that a little bit hard knowing that there's pieces around them changing all the time now?
I think it's those pieces that change that maybe affects it, and the fact that sometimes when you have been playing together for too long, it can also not help you. But I feel like bringing Finn back, bringing back this old synergy, because these players know each other. Finn is going to talk about this in a while.
Okay.
But yeah, he knows that the synergy is here and that it's going to take some time. But as we said, 3 weeks flies fast, and they have to make the change now. They don't have time.
Yes, you're speaking of it, so I want to take a look at that interview to see what Finn said. I know you spoke to him just a minute ago.
Finn, thank you so much for joining me back in the uniform.
Yeah, thank you. It's good to be back.
Yeah, I mean, the start was not ideal for you, but getting your groove back, getting your mood in the team back, how was that for you?
Yeah, it's good to be back.
Yeah.
Rogue is like, it feels very natural to be back, of course. I think scrims have been good and we've been making progress. I think we've had some issues in the early game lately on the stage games, and it's just hard for us to show what we're good at when we're starting the game like down 2k gold at 15 minutes. So I think we really have to fix this
Yeah.
early game, make sure we have a stable plan, and make sure we get it through smoothly. And then I think you guys will stop seeing this boring gameplay. Because when you're 2k down, like, what can you actually do in the game? You don't really have the agency to actually pull the trigger. So I know people are a bit disappointed in Rogue and how we're playing, but I do promise you we have more to show than that.
I love hearing this, and I was not planning on asking you about what the community thinks, but obviously you read what people think about Rogue, maybe boring gameplay. How is that affecting you?
I did promise Dracos that I wasn't gonna be boring
Okay,
when
perfect.
I joined LEC, and I'm kinda not being true to that promise right now. So I promise
Perfect.
once again we'll do better.
Yeah, well, I'll hold you on to your word then, but I feel like it's maybe easier for you having to do this in a team that you know, a structure that you know, with teammates that you've played with already. Is it something that helps you actually, or is it more difficult being reunited with some teammates that you knew because of the standards that you hold and the expectations that you had?
Well, definitely I'm not the same player as I was when I played with them,
Yeah.
and they're not the same as they were when I played with them last time. So it takes some time getting back into the same. I think with Mark it's been very easy being back with him. Communication is like we picked up where we left off. Larson as well. It's more like just finding out how we want to play as a core in the team and making sure we're on the right waves. We're like fighting on our timers, not on enemy timers. Because a lot of times we don't fight on our timers, and then we're like, oh, we should have fought there. And now it's the enemy's timer, but we're still trying to fight. So we just give it to them for free. And it's just the most mind-blowingly poor showing of our gameplay that I can imagine. So we just have to get through the nerves on stage, just focus on what's in front of us and play the game properly.
I mean, I can imagine that it might be frustrating, and it's going to be an interesting matchup coming up against BDS today. We were talking about this before the interview. Adam, special play style, a non-conventional way of playing the game. Any words on this matchup?
Yeah, Adam's playstyle is a bit controversial. It is obviously working. He's, I think, one of the most individually shining players in Europe, and as we've seen, he has the ability to take over games. But he's a player that pushes you, that you have to be on your toes when you play against. But I do believe me with Markun behind me. I think we can punish him and put him in his place.
Well, Finn, I'm sad we don't have you at the desk, but I'm happy you're back where you belong. In the end, hopefully you can show what you want today in the game. Best of luck against BDS.
Thank you so much.
And casters, over to you.
Thank you so much, Laura from Historic Moments. Real Laura was on the desk. Time. Crazy concept. Rogue doing things. Also kind of a crazy concept right now, which is a struggle. Because obviously, Finn promised us more, and I want to be clear here. It's easy to take pot shots at Rogue right now, but they are doing some things okay, right? Like losing slowly is usually a sign that you're holding on to some control of the game. The problem, Dagden, I want to know if you agree, is there are points eventually where you have to fight. You have to at some point pull the trigger, take your destiny into your own hands, and that's the kind of the missing piece of the puzzle I feel like we're waiting to see from Rogue. Yes, obviously it'll be great if they can get leads, but if they are at a deficit, we need to see them pull the trigger, get aggressive, make the plays happen when they're, even if it's a slim margin of opportunity, because otherwise we're going to keep watching them be bled out.
And look, I think there is a very big difference between this Rogue versus last missed Rogue. Like, when you look at the game versus Fnatic, right, they are actually trying to terror dive. They've just botched us, all right? So they are trying to make things happen, but it's like, hey, if you can actually look, Zoelis, ease off a little bit. Take a second or two, wait for the rest of the team to catch up. When it comes to, hey, we want to try and take team fights, you know, wait a second, get your control over mid wave. It's stop skipping steps or stop trying to push the